Hi, welcome back to the part 2 of the Embedded Systems Roadmap. In the part 1 of the Embedded Systems Roadmap, we analyzed this way. What is an embedded system? What an embedded system engineer will do? Why you should choose this path? And also, what are the common mistakes that a beginner will do while exploring this field? We covered all of these concepts in the previous video, and I highly recommend you to watch that video before you watch this. I keep that video here, go check it out. And in this video, we break down the roadmap into 8 steps. And in each step, we covered all the concepts that you need to learn and also provided the resources. So, without further ado, let's start our journey. For each step, we provided the challenges and the exercises so that you can learn and get hands on before going to the next stage. Step 1, understanding basic electronics and C programming. Many students skip this part, but this is the most important step. Since I made a complete step for both basic electronics and C programming, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process to complete this step. Basic electronics, digital circuits, and C programming. Alright? Okay, we will go to the basic electronics part. Under the basic electronics, we need to understand basic elements like resistors, capacitors, inductors, and voltage, current, and all. And also, we need to be able to solve the circuits. For that, we need some rules. Here are the rules: Ohm's law, Kirchhoff rule, Norton's rule, superposition theorem, mesh analysis, nodal analysis, and you need to understand these concepts. And I'm going to give you the important concept here: resistors. What is a resistance? Resistance is opposing the flow of electrons, isn't it? There is two types of resistance: active resistance, passive resistance. In the active resistance, where the resistance converts the electrical energy to heat energy. Example for active resistance elements are resistors. Passive resistance. The elements store the electrical energy. Due to the storage of electrical energy, there is a shortage of this energy throughout the circuit. This forms the resistance. What are the passive resistance elements? Capacitors and inductors. Capacitors store the electrical energy into electrostatic force, and the inductors stores the energy in the form of magnetic fields. As per this first step is concerned, it's enough for you guys to understand these concepts. It's okay if you go beyond it, but don't go below it. Okay. Now I'm going to the digital circuits. Digital circuits are the circuits made from resistors and capacitors, which are the roots for the processors. You know the function of the CPU, right? It's just there to do arithmetic and logical operations. So to do those operations, these are the simple operations, but to do those operations, we need these resistors and capacitors. And you guys will get to know about what are the other circuits that you need apart from the resistors and capacitors to function a CPU. And here are the concepts that I am going to mention: number system conversions and logic gates. De Morgan's law. De Morgan's law is the most important law. You know, it comes in the mathematics and fuzzy sets and also digital circuits. And you need to focus on these concepts. You know, multiplexers, demultiplexers, encoders, decoders. These are the four important circuits that are widely used in the memory system. Don't you wonder how storage works in your phone? These four are the main building blocks for the RAM, ROM in the system. Okay? Don't get confused to the resistors and registers. Registers are the storing elements, resistors are the resisting elements. And flip-flops are the basic elements of storing elements. They store a single bit, and these flip-flops are used to make the resistors. And coming to the C concepts, don't you wonder why only C? Why not using a more sophisticated languages like Python, Java, MATLAB, and R language? But why only we using C? C because C works close to the hardware. Okay, why don't you just use Python? It can also manipulate the hardware, right? Yes, but in the previous video, remember the embedded systems work on reducing power consumption, memory consumption, and latency, right? C language will drastically reduce the latency. And here are the concepts that I am giving you according to the C programming, like variables, functions, arrays, structures, pointers. Hold on. Are you really going to learn all these concepts beforehand? Yes, we need to learn, but not now. Because we need to understand the hardware before learning these concepts. As if you wanted to become an embedded engineer, you need to understand the hardware deeply and also how to code. So we can skip these concepts and we will discuss those concepts in the next steps, because you must learn the hardware before understanding those concepts. Throughout the step 1, for a beginner, I would recommend it might take 6 to 8 weeks of your time to complete the step 1. And I recommend you all to complete the step 1 before you go into the step 2, because it is some fundamental, you might need them in your future steps. Before going to the step 2, here's your challenge. I want you all to make a voting machine using digital logic gates. And here's the rules. You can only vote once and you can only vote for a single party. If you think this might be a tough problem to you, I'm going to provide you the solution. Okay, but I will only provide the solutions to this challenge, because this is the first challenge, right? And I'm not going to provide the solutions for the upcoming challenges. So I hope you understand. And here's the solution. If you really wanted to make a system that can only allow for a person to vote for a single party, you can use an XOR gate. For the consideration of single vote per person, use decoder. And here's the scenario. If a person named 4 came along the system and tries to vote for his desired party, and what will you do? You will use a decoder inside the system, and it will check for the person's details, and it will logs to the person details and says yes or no. If it says yes, he voted once before, and if it says no, he can vote this time. And now you can create this challenge. I given you the blueprint for the solution, and best of luck. Step 2. Sensors and Arduino interaction. I just want you guys to play with the sensors and Arduino. Don't work with the other controllers yet, because you need to understand how to interface a sensor and a microcontroller. Since the Arduino is a user-friendly microcontroller board, and also it provides a beginner level software called Arduino IDE. It has built-in libraries for each sensor. This makes the things easier, right? You don't need to write the code all by yourself. You can just import the libraries and play with it. And also, in this process, you will also understand about Arduino architecture. What are the GPIO pins, digital pins, analog pins? What are the pins used to connect to the communication port? Also, you can understand about the input pins and output pins, how they are working. So these are the advantages for the in this step. You guys might wonder, what are the sensors that I might play with? So I'm going to give you some examples of the basic sensors and actuators that you should interface with Arduino. Here are the sensors: ultrasonic sensor, IR sensor, proximity sensor, LDR sensor, like range sensor, DTH sensor, etc. These are the sensors who have their own properties and own functionality and the working principles. So I'm not going through all those concepts, but If you guys wanted to, please comment in the comment below and I will review it and I will do another video. Okay? And about the actuators, you can also play with the actuators like stepper motors, servo motors, water pumps, etc. And don't forget to use LEDs. You might need to invest 3 to 4 weeks of your time to complete this. Here's your second challenge. Build a smart parking slot detector using ultrasonic sensor, LED, Arduino and buzzer. I guess I don't have to explain you the solution for this challenge because by the end of the step 2, you guys can be able to understand the solution, understand the challenge and can come up with the best solution possible. From the previous step, you understood about the basics and the interfacing of the electronics. From this step, you will understand the applications of the electronics and you will get exposure to the applications of the electronics. But before going through it, you need to understand one simple concept called semiconductors, or people call them as transistors. Transistors are the electronic switches. They act as a gates switched by the voltages or currents. So fascinating, right? But you have to understand how these transistors works. Apart from these transistors, there is a popular concept called op-amps. Op-amps are the really widely popular electronic devices used in the industry. But the concept is very simple, only if you understand the working of the transistors. And here are the applications of op-amps and transistors. I want you guys all go through these applications. And once you finish these applications, you are now ready for the challenge 3. Are you ready? Design an automatic night lamp using LDR, relay, transistors and comparators. You are not using any microcontroller here because you only need the transistor gates and the comparator to process this information. And by the completion of this stage, I believe that you guys are not the beginners anymore. You are in the intermediate stage because you understood how the hardware works and what are the components in the hardware, and you might expect to complete this stage within 4 weeks. Step 4. Computer organization and memory. In the previous step, you understand about the hardware. In this step, you are going to understand how the hardware processes a program that you write in C. In the hardware language, we say a line of the C program as an instruction, and these instructions are stored in the registers as a machine language, like a binary language. And this register information is fetched to the CPU to process it. I believe that you guys will definitely enjoy this part. And the most interesting part is that the whole processor and the instruction is fetched to the processor are changing time by time. This pipeline is very so fascinating and I want you all to go through it. And about the memory, you need to understand how your memory works. What is the memory hierarchy, and most of all, why you should provide the same data in hardware, same data in hard drive and RAM, also in cache, to just fetch the same data to the processor. Why you should do so? You need to understand those concepts so that you can able to get a plan about how the hardware works. And here are the concepts that I'm going to provide you for this step. So go through them, and for this step, I'm going to provide you the exercises so that you can be able to qualify to the step 5. But I will provide them at the end of the video because they will consume the time. Okay, please watch in the end. Step 5. Microprocessors and advanced C. Until now, you understand how to write a C program and how the hardware understands the C program. And now you're in a position to understand the advanced C concepts like pointers, structures, and bit manipulations, file handling, memory padding, stack, DMA. All these concepts are provide you a huge impact in your career. Okay, and also there is a very old architecture called 8086 processor. It lays the foundation to the new architectures. So I want you guys to go through the architecture of the 8086 and how the registers, how you store your data in the register, how you manipulate the flags, how you manipulate the bits. I want you guys to understand. And these are the concepts I want you guys to go through in this step 5. Okay? We won't leave you without a challenge, right? And here's the challenge for your step 5. Develop a simple calculator in 8086 assembly language and compare it with the normal C program language. Okay? And to complete this step 5, you might take 5 weeks of your time. Bare metal C and datasheets. The wait is over. Here's your feast. This is the most important part of the embedded systems journey. Datasheets, understanding datasheets, and writing code in the bare metal C. And in fact, it is the most part of the job that an embedded engineer do. But how do you understand a datasheet? How do you write a code by understanding datasheet in the bare metal C? I provided the resources of how to understand datasheets at the end of the video, and go check them out. I want to provide you a tip for this step. If you ever wanted to understand a datasheet and to find a datasheet, go search in the internet and don't search for the board datasheet. Search for the controller datasheet. If you wanted to search for an Arduino Uno datasheet, don't search for the Arduino Uno datasheet, but do this thing. Arduino Uno has a microcontroller, right? Its name is Atmega 328P, isn't it? Search for the Atmega 328P datasheet and you will get a complete datasheet of what are the registers used, what is the timing diagram used, and you will get the complete idea of that microcontroller. And how to understand a datasheet, you need to understand the timing diagrams, what are the register maps, and what are the electrical characteristics of the microcontroller. Okay, if you have a great grip in the concepts, you can easily understand the data sheets. And also you need to write a code in the bare metal C. What are the macros, how to use macros, and how to use bit manipulations. Bit manipulations are very important in the bare metal C, and I want you guys to get a good grip in that. And here are the skills that you need to gain in this step. And I expected that this will be completed within 3 weeks. Okay. Here's the challenge for you. Read the datasheet of a digital temperature sensor like LM75 or TMP100 and identify its register map and figure out how would you interface your Arduino Uno microcontroller with this temperature sensor using I2C communication protocol. Step 7. OS and RTOS. What is an OS? OS provides the interaction between software and hardware. OS systematically controls the tasks and manages the tasks for a safe encryption of the memory. And what is an RTOS? RTOS is a real-time operating system. You can find them in the real-time systems. Since real-time systems works with precision with no time, RTOS is focused mainly on the scheduling of tasks. RTOS schedules the task with priority and criticality of the tasks. And you know guys, there's no such restriction for you to learn this section if you are building low level embedded systems with only single task for it. Whereas if you are aiming for a industrial and advanced embedded systems, go with the RTOS. Okay, so here we are suggesting you to consider OS and RTOS as an important and advanced topic because it, modern embedded systems like robotics, autonomous cars relies more on the scheduling of the tasks. Since there are multiple tasks and multiple operations to do in a single split second of the time, so they uses RTOS. So focus on this topic. And here are the topics that you should learn in this section. I'm going to provide here. Go check it out. Here's your 7th challenge. Build a cyclic scheduler using C programming. And the second exercise for you today for the 7th step is configure the Arduino Uno timer prescaler to generate an accurate 1-second delay using register level programming only. To complete the OS and RTOS concepts, you might need 5 weeks of your time. Coming to the step 8, communication protocols, testing and debugging. Communication protocols are very important in the embedded industry. Some of the important protocols are UART, I2C, SPI, Ethernet, CAN and OneWire, etc. These are the communication protocols that you must learn. Most of the time, the embedded engineer will spend to debugging and testing the hardware or the microcontroller. So you should learn how to test and debug your code properly. For that, I'm providing the skills that you should learn for mastering the debugging and testing. We completed all the steps, but here's the challenge for the 8th step. This is the final challenge. So in this challenge, we provided all the concepts that are covered in the previous steps as well as these 8 steps. And the challenge is here. Create a smart greenhouse monitoring and control system. For this, we need these hardware components, and after completing this final challenge, you can keep this challenge in your resume or in your LinkedIn post, because these are the features that this final challenge will provide you. And yes, that's it. That's all for today, guys. We have completed our roadmap, but there are some other topics that we didn't cover in this video because they didn't fit in any of the steps, or they are more important than just reminding those steps. So I will cover those concepts in the next video. So if you like this video, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. But before leaving today, I promised to provide the resources. So here are the resources for each and every step. And I also provided a website link where we created all the steps in the roadmap in the website, and we presented in that website. So please visit that website, and I will provide that website in the description. So don't miss it.